Coach Calhoun.
Coach Calhoun.
Coach Calhoun.
Coach Calhoun.
Jim Calhoun.
Jim Calhoun.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Calhoun.
So what is the Calhoun way?
So we're talking about naming the street after him. It wasn't going to be Calhoun Road. It was going to be Calhoun Way, just because everything is the Calhoun Way. But it's just Calhoun Way is just toughness, okay? But so is this his little, I don't say joke, but just his way of saying it. It's not going to be a street. It's not going to be a boulevard, because the Calhoun Way.
So what is the Calhoun Way to you?
To me, it's just the toughest son of a bitch who ever lived.
It's even different in one sense. It's Jim Calhoun, UConn basketball, Connecticut basketball, our culture, from my eyes, but mainly by the stories the kids told. They're telling this time 10 years out, 20 years out, 30 years out of what it was like to play for UConn.
Coach is everything to me, man. Like, Coach is more like a father figure to me, even though my dad has been around too. But I always say, when I was 18 years old, a kid trying to figure it out, my dad and my mother pretty much passed me off to him, and he took that role, turning me from a young kid to a man. And I've been so appreciative of him, because he's always been straight up. He's always been real. The thing that I love best about him is that, Coach is a straight shooter. He rolled me hard on the basketball court, but the thing I love more than anything about him was he never carried it off the floor. He never allowed the media or anybody outside of them, outside of that room, say any negative or bad things about me. So he always protected me. I just believe that he was very instrumental from my success and everything that I've accomplished. When people ask me, like, who's the GOAT of coaching, the first person I always say is Coach Calhoun, because it was bigger than basketball. It wasn't just about basketball. It was about, raising men and raising great fathers, great husbands. And at the time, you didn't know it, but, looking back on it, he's meant everything to me.
Jim's a good guy, it's not just basketball. He's a smart guy. He's a guy that people, I'm sure, trying to solicit his opinion on a number of things. So, I really consider him a very good friend.
The saying, you don't know how splendid, you have to wait till evening to look back and see how splendid the day has been. And I think Jim, and I think this book has been a great exercise for him to look back and see how many people he impacted, how appreciated all of that is, what an incredible part he's played in the lives of so many people, really many, including really millions in Connecticut who've been touched by what he created. So I think for him, he's probably more apt to look back and enjoy how splendid the day has been.
It isn't just a story of someone's life, it's a story of a lot of lives, it's a story of a culture. It's a story of a way to do things in many ways, told by the person that did it. Told by when I get on a kid or hug a kid, that they have reactions. I think it's a very human book. But that, all of us can relate to.
Coach, for me personally, he changed my life, and I can't thank him enough. I was going through transition in basketball from being a pro to trying to figure out my post-career at UConn, and just job searching. And Coach just said, "Come on home, Kev." And he gave me the opportunity to coach, and from coaching it turned into athletic administration. So I'm forever indebted to him and forever grateful. He's an amazing person, and the best part about Coach now, and I don't think we realize his tough love is true love, and it continues to spread onto you throughout. He talks to my kids, he talks to Rip's kids. It's, he's a father type for me, and forever thankful for having him in my life.
I think Coach was probably misunderstood by even some of his players, maybe. Coach is one of the most resilient people I know, right? Even until this day, 20-odd years later, Coach still checks up on me, still talks to my mom, still asks how I'm doing. it wasn't just about basketball, and I found that out years later. He's one of the few coaches that I've ever played for on any level that I still have a solid relationship with. It just says that coach doesn't forget about anyone. He is somebody who, if you have experiences with him, he's gonna cherish those and always remember those, as long as he is around.
One big thing he did was, I think it changed my life, was getting me the job at Dedham Recreation. The thing that really amazed me was how he had the clout. Why are people listening to him? And that was another thing that really amazed me about him, that he just came in and pretty much got what he wanted, and people, I think they just knew he was on a mission.
It was funny because when it got into the preseason stuff, and then as he got into the season, Jim, when it came time for scrimmaging after all the drills in practice, Jim asked me to coach the other team because the other assistant all over, good guy, good coach, but he was a lot like Jim. He was he would yell a little bit, be more vociferous, and Jim says, I want you to coach the other teams. I don't want two people yelling.
Right. He made a bold step at Northeastern by recruiting a whole myriad of us that time wasn't such a popular decision, because most of the folks who played there historically have been from the neighborhoods of Boston. They were working class individuals from those neighborhoods. And so having 5 African-American players come into the university at a time when Boston was in turmoil over the schools and all kinds of other things, and then having the nerve to play us was something that was incredibly brave of him at the time.
He was pretty young for a head coach, and I thought he did a great job. In the beginning, he kind of stayed with the program and the style of play that Northeastern was known for, which was tough D and kind of a slow down type thing. But as he got better talent and stuff, he opened up more and more. And he was always an extremely intense guy. I mean, competitive. I remember he would, like at lunchtime, play either racket or handball with the faculty or basketball. And I'm telling you, it wasn't good. There was a number of professors and stuff that came out of there with black eyes and bruised up.
He was one of the greatest coaches of all time, but what I think separated him from other guys is that he was the greatest winner of all time. He knew how to assemble a team and coach the team and just do all the things that they needed to do to win. It probably helped him in coaching, but he was a tremendous father, and he really was, he taught me something. I'm a few years younger than him, and I had just gotten married, while I was working for him, and started to have children, and I learned a lot from him, how to be a father. And I thought, that's something that really, really carries over into coaching.
Coach didn't necessarily, put you on his knee and pat you and say, "Hey, good boy, I really care for you." But you just know that, through his actions, through his ways, and the way the program was run, and how he always wanted the best for his players, that he did care. I have a much different appreciation of what he built and how he built it in the time that he built it. Building a program out of nothing is a very difficult task. And he built the program up, he built the fan base up, and really helped make UConn a pillar of college basketball.
They loved him. I mean, they loved him, and they worked very, very hard. So he was a tough guy as a coach, but it was tough love. Tough love. The players knew that it's a tough practice or whatever it might be. They might get upset with the coach because when's this practice going to end? Okay, but they all respect him, and he hears from so many. Okay,
Hugh Greer was the guy that he enjoyed the Yankee Conference. They won it every year. He got recognition for that. But when we played the big schools, we didn't do very well. I remember going into the tournament where we always made the tournament, but we were going after the first game. It was better. I mean, UConn was not getting the best ball players. They were getting some good ball players, but not the best ball players. And when Calhoun came in, that changed. It took him a while, but as you know, he made a difference. And did very well, brought the school up to #1 competitiveness.
I was right there every day. We brought Jim down from Northeastern in 85, 86. I spent an hour with Pat and Jim before we did the press conference. Definitely a man who is going to command respect. Jim was a very serious person. He didn't open up his heart to you early on, but deep down inside, he was a tough kid, and he cared deeply about his kids. And you could see that in very little ways.
Coach Calhoun called me after we won the national championship, and we had a nice talk. We talked for about a half hour, and he was very, very complimentary, and it was great because he's one of the best coaches ever to do it, and to get some recognition from him was quite special, and he was great about it, so I really appreciated that.
He was incredibly generous to me as a young coach. I have a basketball on my bureau over there in my file cabinet that he autographed for me, and it's a reminder of, I'm not here if it's not for basketball. I really believe that. I don't think our program exists if it's not for the success that Coach Calhoun had in the 90s and the 2000s and beyond. I truly believe that. So it's just a reminder of the importance of that program, the men's basketball program, and his importance. And I don't want to say putting us on the map, because I think that does a disservice to those that came before him, because it was always the program was always a regional power, but he took us to the promised land, as Coach D. Rhodes said. He took us to the national championship and won, more than once.
It was funny, really. It was funny in a good way. We both had great respect for each other, but we could yell at each other. We could, we had no problem yelling at each other. Say, well, you're fucking crazy. And we did that a lot, but mostly we respected each other. I knew how good a coach he was. I knew what a great competitor he was. So I think we made a good team. I think we really blended together well.
Just incredible. Jim Boeheim, of all people, not the most favorite person in UConn, among UConn fans, but he said that Jim Calhoun is the greatest program builder in the history of college basketball. He took a program, a school in Storrs, Connecticut, which certainly isn't a bustling metropolis by any stretch, and had a pretty good, but not a great basketball history, and turned it into a blue blood.
Well, it was a luxury having the opportunity to have played with him, because he was so knowledgeable of the game. All the knowledge that he had of the game, he took with him as a coach. So it didn't surprise me when he won the national championship, 4 times? 4 times?
3 times, yeah.
3 times.
Yeah.
It didn't surprise me at all.
Those of us who know his unique personality are really proud that he came from humble beginnings with his father passing on. I think the story is well known about him going off to college, and he couldn't stay there. He had to go back home and working the quarries down in Quincy, Braintree area to support the family.
I played for Coach Calhoun year one of his tenure at University of Connecticut. Can't tell you, I still talk to him once or twice a week now as I'm into my 10th year as head basketball coach at Rutgers University. He's meant so many things to so many of us former players. He's like a father figure, he's a mentor, he's an advisor, he's an agent. He's a great example of what a father and a parent should be. So he's helped me in every step, of my life, and I love him and I'm proud of him.
Joe again was a great kid and ended up being a lesson to our entire team, and I used that. One of the last times I saw Joe was after he had his legs taken off. I had to convince him to do. And the team was heading out to Denver for the first national championships, and takes off the sheet. He shows the team. He says, "Think you guys are tough?" And I think with Joe was just trying to do anything he could, because that's who he was, to help motivate them, stimulate them. But you go out there and play hard as you can, and you can win this whole thing. And I think that wasn't a big ceremony, but just that flashback was indicating to them that, on this trip, I'll be as tough as Joe again.
Yeah. Well, it seemed to work, huh?
It worked very well because they had great respect for Joe. Joe was a feisty.
I feel, and I think my parents would say the same thing, he is so giving. There's this whole side of Coach Calhoun that people don't see. I think they see the man on the court, and then there's someone behind the man on the court. And when he met my brother, he treated him, I'm going to say, like the average Joe, because everybody kind of catered to him. Oh, he can't do that, or let's give him this, let's give him that. And Jim always held him accountable. Whenever there was a game and he was the manager, I remember a specific story where when Joe was the manager, he forgot, I think it was Ray Allen's sneakers, because you had to pack the bags. And he was like, you figure out how to get them. Like basically at bombing him, and you get those sneakers and you fly back home and you get them. And there was no special treatment. And I think that's what Joe appreciated. With Jim, he never really gave him special treatment. And I think that's what Joe really wanted, was someone to just treat him like the norm. And he was such an amazing man to him that I feel that he gave my brother the extra years of his life.
The thing about Coach is that he cares about his players first. First and foremost, he cares about his players. Even now in my 50s, I hear about people needing help from him, and he still comes through, and people in their 50s and 60s, and he still comes through for them. He's still willing to give a helping hand to people, and Coach Calhoun is in his 80s. And they're former players that maybe need help getting a job or have health issues, whatever the case may be, Coach is still helping them.
I think his big thing is relationships with players and the importance of building relationships. You can't coach someone unless you really know them, not just basketball-wise, but you know their family, you know their upbringing, you know their story. And something that like Coach would always do that I never realized that he was doing it, but whenever we had practice, Coach was always one of the first people out on the floor, and he would just sit at half court and he would just watch. He wouldn't say anything to the players. He would just kind of look at, okay, who are they hanging out with? What's their body language like today? What are they working on when they get in the gym? They, first thing jacking up threes, or are they doing form shooting? So he really analyzes everything about the person and then takes that information and tries to figure out how I can coach that kid to be the best player that they can be.
I always did want to be a dentist, but I remember, before college, I was, not super serious about it. I didn't really know what it entailed. And I remember when I got to St. Joe's, Coach would, what do you want to do in life? I want to be a dentist. And I think I was struggling in like math class or something. And he said, you know, my dentist better know how to do math. Like something like that. He was always kind of tough on you, but he always said, you know, the door is there, but nobody's going to open it for you.
Jim Calhoun, very competitive son of a gun. And he loved baseball too. He used to come out to baseball games. And then football, he played all three sports himself. Braintree High School. He was an athlete, a good athlete. Played for AIC.
Yeah.
I used to bust his chops. I said, what does AIC stand for? Almost in college? What do you mean? Come on. Oh, JC.
Yeah.
Look what he did at St. Joe's, an all-girls school. The first year he had boys, he wins the championship. And now look what they built, a baseball field over there, a soccer field. They got a new gym. Thank you, Jim Calhoun.
He's right up there. I mean, he's got to be one of the top three. As Gino is one of the top, on the women's side. And both of that was, wow, what a dynamic duo up there. But it was just a great experience. I mean, you're working with someone who's just so highly motivated and can motivate kids. I mean, I thought that was probably one of his biggest assets. That's not new. He was a terrific motivator.
In the stroke of luck for us that he was interested, we thought we should seize this opportunity. And I learned so much from him about again, setting the bar high. When he came in, I realized we were going to have to really up our game in terms of recruitment, facilities, management of the athletics program and the facility. But it certainly more than met our expectations and hopes for the recognition that it could bring, what it did to the campus in terms of creating more activity, a more enthusiastic student body.
And I had a question about Digno, the student manager who's the NBA coach now. So Joe
Dagno.
How you pronounce it?
Dagno. Mark Dagno.
Gagno?
Yeah.
Dagno. No wonder why he's not calling me back.
Okay. Well, he's not calling you back because he probably... When somebody has a secret sauce,
yeah,
they really don't. But people think they do.
Yeah.
He's got good young players. Sam Presti's a great general manager. And he took a chance. And the big thing...
On Mark, you mean? Yeah.
But the big thing he did with Mark is he gave him the opportunity. He saw something. When I got that news, I could tell you that you're going to have brain surgery. It took 6.5 hours, and life isn't always every day is a new adventure. And it may be the most joyous, or it may be very difficult. But I think the key thing, and I think that's what we're talking about, the ability to be able to handle that, to bounce back, to make the best of sometimes a bad situation. I really believe that, and I think that's very important for people to realize. All of us have experienced so many great joyous moments and some not so great joyous moments. I think the ability to handle it is the single most ingredient I want to pass.
How tough was Jim Calhoun? Okay, he was in the hospital. Okay, and I was at Central, and I went over to the Farmington, the UConn Health Center to go visit him Saturday, like 11 in the morning, and he's laid up. Okay, he just got there, and I said, "I want to come over and pay my respects. Anything I can do." And the nurse said he's projected to be here for 11 days. 2 days later, he's out of the hospital. That's another good one. He was on a 50-mile bike ride, okay, for charity a number of years ago, and he fell off the bike and got hurt, okay, because of the stones and the gravel. He couldn't handle it. I think he went like 11 miles. He got up and did 39 more miles and then had to go to the hospital. How tough is that?
Welcoming Jim to the Hall of Fame is Bob Cousy. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Calhoun.
To my wife, Pat, my best friend for 39 years, and the greatest love a man could ever have. You never were the woman behind me. You're always the woman beside me. And I love you.
Well, I want to be remembered by my family first, but by people, you know, is that I was there and cared. Matter of fact, I'm a compulsive, without question. Because I was helped by my high school coach, because of the principal, my football coach, my family, obviously. All those people, I want to pass it on.
Husky Mania, you're gonna love it.
And the Huskies will have exactly 1 second remaining in this ball game to try and pull off a miracle. Just 1 second left.
And the place was electric, and then Tate hits the shot, and then it was off to the races.
Looking inbound, loops it far up court for George, who catches it, turns around, shoots, and he got it! He hit it! He hit the shot, and the Huskies have won it! The Huskies have won it! George hits the shot from the right side of the lane, and UConn wins it 71-70.